Hello, May class, and welcome to your next science lesson. So in your previous lesson, we have been looking at habitats. We've been looking at factors that obviously destroy habitats. We've looked at deforestation, urbanization. You were looking at Black Park and looking at different ways of designing it to make it better in some way. So today we're doing something that I hope you are going to really enjoy. So I'm going to share my screen with you. We are going to be creating our very own habitat. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to reflect on habitats that we've previously looked at. You will learn about 5 new habitats, and you are going to be designing a habitat of your own. Right, to start us off, I want you to think about the different habitats that we've explored and we've discussed. So we've looked at the park, we've looked at our homes, we've looked at trees, and we've looked at our world. So there are also 5 habitats that we have not yet looked at in detail, and we're going to go through those today. So the first one is the desert. So the desert is full of miles and miles of sand dunes. So sand dunes, if I go back, are these big mountains of sand here. So sand dunes. Some deserts are rocky with scattered plants and shrubs. There are even deserts that are icy and cold. So deserts are known for their lack of rain. They are also known for their overall lack of water. They have dry soil, and some famous deserts that you may have heard of is the Sahara Desert in Northern Africa, the Arabian Desert in the Middle East, the Gobi Desert in Northern China and Mongolia, and the Kalahari Desert in Africa. Obviously, with there not being very much rain or not very much water, you'll see that they are very dry places. And as mentioned, the soil will be dry and there's very little water. So things that live in our deserts are things like meerkats, camels, different types of reptiles like horned toads and scorpions, grasshoppers, cacti, and short trees. So this is a very typical picture of, excuse me, what a desert may look like and the kind of animals that you may find in a desert. Little oases with the trees and things in very small areas like that. You can see the trees aren't very big. They're often quite dry. This one has a patch of water, but you'll see that there won't be huge amounts of water in and around a desert. A forest is the next type of habitat that we would look at. So a forest never gets really hot or really cold. There are 4 distinct seasons within the forest. There is lots of rain throughout the year. There is fertile soil, which means it's rich with nutrients. Rotted leaves and other decaying matter provides a rich, deep soil that is good for trees to grow strong roots. They are located in several locations around the world, and there's a wide variety of living things in these forests, including tall trees, rabbits, squirrels, foxes, deer, black bears, mountain lions, skunks, timber wolves, birds, and hawks. These are some of the animals you may find in the forests. If you have a look at these pictures, you can see we've got really tall trees, a lot of greenery. It's quite thick bushes. And yeah. Another type of habitat that we would look at is a grassland. And just like its name, a grassland has a lot of grass. So they're also known as savannas. So say that with me, savanna. Savanna, right? And they are wide expanses of land which are filled with low-growing plants such as grasses and wildflowers. The amount of rain is not enough to grow tall trees and produce a forest, but it is enough to not form a desert. So it's just enough that things grow, but not too much that you would end up with tall trees and lots of bushes like a forest. Some animals that live in the grasslands include prairie dogs, wolves, turkeys, eagles, weasels, bobcats, foxes, geese, snakes, mice, and rabbits. And plants that you would find there are a lot of grasses, so buffalo grass, blue grama grass, needle grass, big blue stem grass, and switchgrass. I bet you didn't realize that there were all different types of grasses, did you? Right, and this is an example of savannas. You can see there's plenty of grassland, but you can see that they're actually not very tall grasses, right? They are quite thick, but we don't have the types of trees and things that would grow in something like a forest. A wetland is something that you can see from this picture has a lot of water. So a wetland is a combination of land and water. The lands are saturated with water, so there's a lot of water in them. Land may mostly be underwater for part of the year or just flooded at certain times. It supports aquatic plants, so water plants. Animals that live here can include alligators, crocodiles, beavers, minks, raccoons, deer. And plants that could live here are things like milkweed, water lilies, duckweed, cypress trees. And this is a lot of the things that you would see. So you can see the plants often grow on the water or in the water. And obviously it's very green because all the plants around it have they have access to water. We also have what we call a tundra. So a tundra is a cold and treeless plain where harsh conditions make it hard for plants and animals to survive. It's cold, dry, and barren, so there's not anything there. Long winters and short summers. So within tundras, there's only 2 seasons. Around 20% of the Earth's land surface is covered with tundra. Animals that live here are caribou, an Arctic hare, ermine, Arctic fox, snowy owl, and musk oxen. So they're animals that are able to survive in the cold climates. Plants that live here are things like grasses, shrubs, herbs, and lichen. And this is maybe what a tundra would look like and the type of animals that you would see there. You may also notice the color of the animals and think about what we've learned about the animals and their habitats and how this is helpful. Right, now is the time that we get to the exciting part of our lesson. You are going to be making your very own habitat. You're going to pick one of the 5 habitats that we've just looked at today in today's lesson, or one you've thought of independently, and then you're going to be making that habitat. I'm going to suggest to you different ways that you can make these habitats at home or in school. So if you're making a desert, you could use a shoebox or a plastic container, and you fill it 1/4 of the way with sand, much like the sand that you would find in a sand pit, and you make the sand surface uneven. So think about the dunes that we have and all of that. Make sand dunes and ditches by moving the sand around with your hands. You can scatter a few rocks in the box, and you can add 2 or 3 pieces of greenery, but not too much. Cacti live in the desert because they can hold water. So think carefully about the kinds of plants. If you are adding greenery, what kinds of plants are they? Remember what they said about the trees as well. You can go back and have a look at some of the examples when we were looking at the desert habitats. A forest, again, you're going to use a shoebox or a plastic container, and you can fill it with some dirt. You can put leaves from the trees in the dirt. Obviously, we spoke about it being fertile, so the rotten leaves obviously put nutrients into the ground to help the trees grow. And maple, oak, and walnut trees are commonly found in the forest. You could cut up a piece of blue plastic wrap and set it on the dirt, and then this could act like water. If you have blue paper, you could do that as well. If you've got some paint, you could paint something and create a bit of water. What would you create for the trees? Think about it. Could you put trees around your area? Could you get branches from outside and create kind of a forest, if you will? A grassland, you could cut out a piece of plastic, lay it in a shoebox or plastic container, add some greenery, and you could cut a piece of plastic wrap for a body of water and set it in the habitat. You could also paint that. If you've got access to dry grasses, maybe you want to fill that with dry grasses as well. So again, you can go back, have a look at what the grassland looks like, and you are then able to create your own habitat. A wetland is full of water. Fill the rest of the box with dirt. You could paint the surface blue, add a bit of greenery. So there's a lot of water, a little bit of greenery, and then obviously some things that float on the water. And lastly, we've got our tundra, and you would need hills and dunes for this. You could use blue tissue paper or paint along the edge for water, and you could add a bit of greenery, but there's not very much in it, was there? So you could go back and look for a tundra. If you are unsure, you could also research what a tundra looks like and create that yourself. So your challenges today are as follows. On a piece of paper or whiteboard, design your habitat. Pick one of the environments that we've discussed and think about the living things that would live there. What features would you need to include so that your design is accurate? What could go into it? And then you're going to build your own habitat. You can choose to do this on a piece of paper, or you could experiment with using some kind of container or box or glass jar to create this habitat. Then you're going to have a walking gallery. You're going to show off your habitat and you're going to talk about it. Present it to those around you and be sure to post this on Tapestry. Explain what makes your habitat special. So you would hold it up and you could talk through what you've made, what's included in it, why those things are like that, what that habitat is like, and talk me through what you have created. Don't forget to share this with us on Tapestry, and please make sure that your work has been uploaded onto Tapestry by 4 p.m. this afternoon. And have fun creating your final design and your own habitat.